I worked in high school for a while. I was a counselor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like I went to school for social work for a while.
So, like, what kind of counseling would you do?
Just like therapy. It was a really cool, the way they did it was like, it was a charter school, and I was there as an intern because I was getting my master's in social work. So they would have interns there as therapists for the school kids, basically, so that the kids could get free therapy at school if they were exhibiting kind of problems or whatever. So it was like, I worked at it was like an inner city school in Philly, and I would just go there and chill in an office, and they would just like, I'd have to get kids from class, and they would just come. We would like talk a couple times a week. And then you could bring their family in if they're like, they had problems at home. You could be like, all right, let's call the mom and dad.
Well, this is what this guy was talking about. This is what Tallarico was talking about, what they cut funding for.
Yeah, it's a shame because this school was like, they kind of like ran it themselves. I guess they were getting funded by the state, but the way they got around it was just using interns. So it wasn't like, you're not getting like the most experienced people in the world.
But you're getting some help.
You're getting something, man.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this kid that he was talking about, like, he had this very detailed story about this kid who was like a good kid, just came from a fucked up house. And he wanted, and these people around him were the only positive influences that he had ever had, and he was starting to get better.
Yeah.
And then they took it away, and he starts falling apart.
Yeah, and dude, it's also like, you forget, like, because there's like, they're kids, when you like, especially like in a city, and kids are telling you like their lives, it's like, it's fucking heartbreaking. Like shit, like their day-to-day setup, you'd
Horrific.
be like, fucking Christ, man.
Yeah.
And then they're just looking at you like, what do I do? And I'm like, you gotta hang in there. There's literally nothing I can tell you to do. You just gotta hang in there. And like,
Right.
It was sad, but it was one of like my favorite. If I didn't do stand-up, I would probably do that for a job.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was fun.
Well, it sounds very rewarding, right?
Yeah.
You're actually helping people.
Yeah, and it's just like intense. You're just sitting there in a room with somebody, and it's like everything they're saying, there's no like guidance. You have to just be like, all right, well, like maybe this, maybe that. And it's like I don't know, I always liked it a lot. It was pretty cool. But then you go back to the school, and it's so funny. I went to social work school just because I was doing stand-up. I was kind of kicking around. I was like, yeah, I was doing the podcast, but it was like slow going. And I remember watching Jordan Peterson be like, the schools are crazy right now. And part of me, like, I wanted to be a therapist, but I remember being like kind of curious, like, I wonder how bad they are. And I went to school. I went to my master's program in social work, which was like ground zero for all like the stuff he was talking about. And he was, dude, it was literally like worse than he made it out to be.
What was it like?
It was insane, dude. It was literally like, I went to school, again, to be a therapist, but like social work, you can be a therapist faster than if you go to school for psychology because you just like don't need any of the science really. You just study kind of like the theory and, whatever. So you can be a therapist quicker. It's like a shortcut kind of. But it would be like, it was just literally, you'd be in a room with like 13 other people, and they would like, you talk about whatever it'd be. Like, let's talk about like clinical approaches here and there, and it would just right away turn into like race, gender, who's the most oppressed, do this. And it was just like, people would tell stories like, one time this guy said this to me, and everyone would be like, I can't believe that fucking guy said that. It was literally like nothing. You paid $60,000. It was like I would be terrified if I was getting therapy. And again, it's like not everybody, but there's a lot of very people would cry in class. So you'd be like talking, and like people would just start bursting out in tears, like, I don't feel safe. It was insane. And I'm like, dude, you're going to be talking to people who are like homeless? How are you going to help them?
Oh my God.
And it was all female. It was mostly female dominated. It was like me and 3 or 4 other guys. And then like people would come in because you'd bring your case files in and be like, here's something I'm dealing with. Let me get some, what do you think about this? I remember this guy was dealing with this like Vietnam vet who like, had like lived in Philly his whole life. And he was like, I was just shocked the way he talked about women. And it's like, bro, you're dirty macking your client, dude, for these chicks. I'm like, come on, man. It was just kind of weird. It was like, dude, he's a fucking 70-year-old dude. He's lived in Philly his whole life.
He probably stabbed Charlie in a tunnel somewhere.
Yeah, and he was just very crude about women. It's like, come on, man. Of course this guy is.
Yeah.
Don't throw him under the fucking bus. You're supposed to be helping. That was my whole point. It was like, if you're doing therapy with people, it's like, life is just so hard and so complex. And if you're going to be like, this doesn't sit with my party politics, I was like, you guys got to drop the political shit, man, and just like meet these people where they're at.
Well, there's so many guys out there that just want brownie points.
That's what dude,
yeah.
It's exactly what it was. I was like, dude, I know what you're doing right now. You're dirty macking this guy. So you can be like, personally, I was offended. I'm like, dude.
Those guys are the worst.
Oh, I couldn't stand it at all.
These guys are the worst.
Then they tried to kick me out of the school.
For what?
Because when Shane got in trouble for SNL, my name popped up in the byline because they had no clue. It was like a double life. I would go to social work school, because I just took out loans. I'm like, we'll just see what if the podcast works, I'll just pay off the loans. If it doesn't, I'll have a degree. And so it had been pretty contentious because my plan was like, dude, just go, keep it cool, don't say anything. And then, dude, you'd be in these classrooms and like, I remember the one time this lady, and they're all like young, they're right out of college. They'd come out and they'd be like, well, and I believe this is like unprompted. She was like, well, I would never personally call the cops on a black person ever. And I'm just sitting in the back of the room and I'm like, no one's going to say this is the craziest thing. And I'm like, what if he was beating a woman? And she was like, and like, it was just that non-fucking stop. And I couldn't help it. So I would start saying stuff. The room would go into chaos. So like, I literally couldn't bite my tongue. And then eventually they found, once they already kind of had it out for me. And once that news came out about the podcast, they were like, we got him dead to rights. So then they like the student council, they didn't like me at all. They all kind of did a motion to get me kicked out. And so the teacher came, or like, the dean or whatever, who actually was nice. I liked her a lot. I had a meeting with her and she was like, yeah, these people feel unsafe, blah, blah, blah. So I had to do it. And it was like unsafe, or they just don't, they don't like what they're hearing. But like I had a meeting with like the board basically. Did you ever like fantasize about getting like defending yourself in court?
Yeah.
I got to do that. And I got to have like we got to like debate about whether or not I actually violated the code of ethics. And it was like kind of this gray area. So it was awesome. I recorded it on my phone.
Wow.
It's like an hour long. I never listened to it again, but it was like, because I was like, just in case they jam me up. The lady was like, like, what would you do if we kicked you out? And I was like, dude, like, I'll make the most of that for sure. Like, I wouldn't want to do it, but I would just sue you guys, man. Like, you can't kick me out. I'm already like invested. Blah, blah, blah. And then COVID happened, so like they were just hushed it all. I just got to finish online class. But yeah, they tried to give me the boot, and I remember the day.
Wow. Did they have a specific thing that they were upset about? Was it your association with Shane?
It was just that clip, that Chinatown clip came out.
Oh, wow.
And they just saw us like, I'm sure they like looked into other stuff, but they were like, he's making this place unsafe. We're not safe here. And I was like, shut up.
Yeah, podcasters and academia.
It was.
Academia, that does not go together.
Also, dude, like, I thought, like, having a master's, I was going to be around geniuses. It's like, they're not that smart. You go to a place with masters and PhDs, half of them don't even, like, read anything. You talk about a book, they're like, I never heard of that. And then they'd show you, like, Netflix. You're like, bro, I'm paying $60,000 for this. You're hitting me with a Netflix doc? It's like, this is $8 a month.
They were showing you Netflix docs in class?
Yeah, we watched a Netflix doc. One of the classes, we watched, like, the 13th Amendment. And I was like,